Hey guys, Ovan here. In this video, I want to talk about knife collectors versus knife users. So, in my experience, there's kind of two camps in this knife hobby. There's either the collector camp, people that buy knives, they appreciate them for their aesthetic value and maybe their action, and they appreciate those aspects of it and appreciate the pride and ownership and the potential, maybe as an investment, that things will go up. So collectors value those things in knives, and maybe as a secondary, they see the functionality in them and recognize that they could be functional tools, yet there's also beauty to them. So that is the collector side of things. On the other hand, you have the straight user, knife user camp. In that camp, people, you hear this repeated, I don't buy anything unless it's going to get used. And that is also, in my eyes, a pretty valid reason to do this. What we only have so much money. Some people, it's different for every person how they choose to prioritize their money. But obviously, people can't spend money on things that they don't need. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes people can. So, like I said, it's different for every person. But they choose to buy knives based solely on their cutting, performance, potential, the use application for the knives. And in that sense, they oftentimes don't seem to identify with the more collector side of things. They seem to almost hold a little bit of disdain for people who will buy knives and will not use them, or maybe even not carry them. Like maybe they just sit in a safe and get taken out on occasion to look at or show to friends. So oftentimes that's going to be super high end knives, but it could be simple couple $100 knives. You never know. But they oftentimes can't identify with that mentality of spending, and that purchasing decision that another individual has made, and they will voice that opinion online. I won't. They'll do it with posturing. They'll be like, I won't buy anything that I won't use, and all of my knives get carried, and they sort of tote that as like a symbol of validation for how they've chosen to spend their money. And I sort of, at least for me, I fall into both camps somewhat. I think the vast majority of us in the knife world actually do, but I think the sort of the opposite ends of the spectrum sometimes can lead to having a bit of a nasty discourse back and forth. So I fall in between both. I have tons and tons of different knives, as you guys have seen. Obviously, I don't keep them all. Some I sell, some I keep. And all of my knives, with the exception of very few, will all be carried in my pocket and used for pretty much any EDC task. Now, that is a caveat. When I am working and I know what my tasks are going to be, there are certain blades that I will prioritize, this being one of them. I will prioritize carrying something like this over, say, this Blade Show exclusive Ultratech. So like this ZT562, this is one of my, I would call work knives, my user knives. I have both. I have user knives and I have some knives like this guy that I will collect. This is a exclusive. I cannot replace this. There's only a finite number of them out there, and to find another one for the price that I paid for it is impossible. So, and also, when you take into account doubles, like I have this user Ultratech, there's no reason for me to use it. I can keep it for the rarity and the neatness and enjoy that and have that sort of collector mentality with this. And then I can use something like this, which is a very, very functional, awesome knife, and at the same time has a lot of really neat artistic features to it and a lot of personality. So I find validity in both camps, but I the discourse that I often see online with the sort of posturing the users against the collectors, and maybe it is sometimes the opposite. I personally, I haven't seen that a ton. The collector market scoffing at people who use their knives, because there is a lot of validity to that. But I do see it the other way around, in that people say, how could you spend, $600 on a pocket knife and not use it? You spent $600 on a pocket knife? Like, are you crazy? Well, I mean, we've all spent more money on pocket knives, maybe even not with just one knife, but cumulatively, than most sane people do in their lifetime. So that argument is, I think that's kind of misguided, and I think we just need to really work as a community to try to be positive with all aspects of the community. I think one of the downfalls with this community, is, as with anyone, is the negativity and the sort of disdain that we hold for other knife enthusiasts. I mean, it's all across the spectrum. I'm not gonna label anyone specifically, but it just seems sort of uneducated, and just it puts a damper on the whole collection for many people. So I also think, on a more positive note, that for the most part, pretty much everybody I've come across in this community has been totally awesome. They all seem to get it. They're all kind of in the both category. They have, some knives that they like to collect, some knives that they carry, use. Some people they carry and use everything. They're savages. They carry and use their $2,000 customs and whatnot. And that's just not something that I've been able to bring myself to do quite yet. But there are some customs that I will use, some very expensive custom knives that I will use. So I just think that's really positive, that by and large, most people sort of have a really, really good grasp on this. It's just the outliers that kind of can put a sour taste in some of the newcomers' mouths or whatever. But I just think it's important to recognize the collector community, and just make sure that we, keep them in the community, and stop trying to ostracize them for doing things a little differently than the user community. Like I said, I think the majority of people fall somewhere in between both, and I think even if they fall into one or the other camp, they recognize the validity to both camps. I'm not saying it's either your one camp or the other camp, but that's pretty much just been my observations as far as knife collecting versus knife users. And I guess I'll run through these on the table. I've just been kind of playing with them for now. But this is a user Ultratech that I just put together. This I'm going to use for absolutely anything. It's a really awesome Ultratech. This is another Blade Show exclusive. This is a Malibu. Very functional EDC blade here with that gorgeous abalone button there. Full DLC, and this is a Blade Show exclusive 192 of 200. So I may eventually carry this, but because of the very fine finishing on this and the limitability of it, I don't foresee myself carrying this a ton and using it yet. That may come, but just that's where I'm at for the time being. Same thing with this guy. This is another Blade Show exclusive that I can't replace. Like I said before, another Ultratech. My user, And here's another, this is the Millet Torrent. These are pretty rare, especially the Damascus ones. This is a Damasteel. But this is one that I don't use a ton, but I actually, you can see there are some marks on the blade. Not sure if they're picking up, but I do carry and use this one. But this one I would put in the, I only carry for light duty category. So I just wanted to show you guys those. On here I got this is just Southern Grind copper coin, which is kind of neat. And a Ye Olde Zippo, which are another thing. These are both two other things that people collect. Pokemon cards, that sort of thing. You know, it's the same type of deal like with the Pokemon community. I have no experience with it, but there are people who, you know, collect the cards for the monetary value and the tradability, and there are people that collect the cards to make the best deck to beat their friends, you know? So that's a nice parallel. It's very similar across collecting communities. So I think the takeaway for this video, I think I'm going to wrap it up. The takeaway for this video is let's just try to be inclusive of everybody. Let's try not to crap on other people for how they choose to spend their money. And let's just enjoy this hobby together. It's a really fun, rewarding hobby. I'm blessed to be a part of it, and I'm really happy that I can bring you guys videos that bring me enjoyment and entertainment, and I hope they do for you guys as well. So I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.